Welcome to Faith Positive Radio with Dr. Joey Fawcett, the Christian business coaching conversation that increases your faith with greater joy at work so you love God and others more. Dr. Joey interviews Christian business professionals just like you to discover their secrets for working faith positive in a negative world. Welcome to Faith Positive Radio with Dr. Joey Fawcett.
Faith Positive Nation, have you ever gotten a splinter in your finger or something like that and you can't quite see what's causing the pain or the problem, but you do know that there's some pain there? Companies and organizations have splinters also. Now, sometimes those splinters are very small and you can't see them, but other times they're massive and you can see them. But the outcome's the same. They're causing you pain and you don't know what to do about them. Today's guest literally helps companies find the splinters or find, to use a biblical example, the log in your eye, right? That is keeping your company from being the best that it can be so that employees can be engaged and so that customers can be served and problems offered, solutions out in the marketplace, right? And today's guest is an expert at doing that. So we are so very blessed to have Jeff Gray from NovaLogic joining us today. So Faith Positive Nation, help me welcome to Faith Positive Radio today, my good friend, Jeff Gray. Jeff, welcome to Faith Positive Radio, buddy.
Great to be here.
Man, I'm so delighted to have you here. So you literally go into companies and organizations, ask a lot of questions and help them identify sources of pain.
Actually, we normally interact with companies. They're usually coming to us asking, questions about growth, questions about stability, things like that. But really, what you hear in those questions are actually statements around how brittle something's not working well in their organization. It's become harder to do whatever they're doing, but they can't quite put their finger on it. So a lot of times it surfaces around operations. They think there's something wrong with ops or maybe even technology. But the only thing they know is things aren't working as well as they used to, or it's harder to get things done. And a lot of times that's what's bringing them to us, is to help them figure out what are some of those things that may be stalling growth or causing them not to grow.
So stalling or causing them not to grow. So something stopped them from achieving the goals that they want to reach. They can no longer move forward, or if they are, it's not at a pace that they like. You mentioned a couple of things there. You mentioned ops, you mentioned technology. As the executive vice president with NovaLogic there in the Atlanta area, you really can bring a lot of solutions. So how do you come to these companies and help them identify what their challenges are?
Well, just like a doctor, sometimes when you go to a doctor, you want them to fix you, but you don't want to tell them. You don't want to tell them all the symptoms.
Maybe you really don't want to know what it is, because it could be, instead of a cold, it could be cancer, right?
Yeah, or you don't want to tell them what you're doing that's causing your hands to get bruised, that kind of thing. So a lot of times when we're asked to come into a company, it takes some us getting a relationship going with a key sponsor or the CEO, CFO, others. But it's about finding some common ground and empathy. People don't want to hear just solutions thrown at them. They want to have someone that can sit with them and can actually understand some of the things that they're feeling. So once we build a good understanding of not only professionalism of the stuff that we're doing, but also empathy for their situation, we can speak into that. Then they start opening the doors of, okay, here's what I'm seeing. Here's what's really going on.
Okay.
And then ultimately some of those fears and anxiety that may be even personal start surfacing. So that's the first and foremost. We have to find a cultural host that's inside of an organization that can give us that reality check. And then from that point on, it's really it's a very much a people process, getting to getting to solve those problems. So we have different tools. You probably heard of our ethnography work, where we will do a form of interview process with key stakeholders and people throughout the organization. And from that particular type of work, we can surface a lot of things that are very, very actionable that you won't see in an employee survey or you won't see in just a general audit.
Right.
So, and like you said earlier, it ends up targeting or coming back to technology, ops, recruiting, product placement, market, a lot of different areas it could show up affecting. So, yeah.
So first you go in and you build trust and intimacy in your relationship.
Yes.
That sounds like a great place for faith to enter in right there, but I don't want to preempt your answer. I mean, how does faith come into play and shape what you're doing there in these relationships?
Well, I mean, to me, ultimately, everything comes down to a people issue, or an opportunity. So with the process of getting that intimacy and that empathy going, we are there to serve these people that are in need. Every group that we're working with has some need, whether it's an outcome they're looking for they can't achieve, or something personally they're trying to do. We're there to serve them. So for me, I see that as a big thing to steward. I mean, it is humbling to have Fortune 100 and 500 companies trust you with advising them on things, especially when it gets to affecting hundreds of thousands of people's lives. So we take that very seriously, and we want to speak truth into those situations and not pander. There's plenty of time to pander if you wanted to pander. But how do you speak in truth and caring into those situations? And I think asking questions during that process too. We've sat down in front of so many companies that where a CEO of a large company or a large publicly traded company said, you don't sound like most consultants. And
now, were you complimented by that, Jeff? or was that a problem for you?
I wasn't sure if it was maybe my Southern accent that may have added a little bit of flavor there, but
is this blessing or curse, right?
yeah. But it's I think it's because of we come at things a little bit differently. I mean,
you ask questions.
We ask questions. We ask a lot of questions, and I think we're pretty. And I think this is good for anybody. I mean, there is. It's not just telling people what they want to hear, but asking questions about things, not only that are happening today, but also kind of peering forward for them. A good guide is not someone that just tells you the rocks in front of you. He's going to tell you there's a mountain coming.
That's right. So, these rocks lead to a mountain. Yeah. So you're talking about 5-10 years from now.
Yeah.
Helping that leader cast a vision for what the company will look like then. That takes a lot of faith, right?
Yeah, it does. It really does. And it creates, if it's not well orchestrated, it can create disruption as far as the change management element goes. So that intimacy and empathy play a huge role in keeping that anxiety and fear down. When they know that you're working for them and you're acting as a guide, not as a salesperson or a customer success manager, you're acting as a advocate for them. It changes a lot.
Yeah, it really does, because you're literally drawing up alongside of these guys and gals in the C-suite, right? And helping them find solutions to these problems that are keeping them from getting where they want to go. And you're doing that by building trust and empathy with them. That sure sounds a lot like Jesus to me, who wandered around, right, amongst the people, forming relationships and meeting their needs.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's you. There's a lot of really good, direction in the Bible. It's funny. When we talk to organizations, a lot of times they're talking about wanting to engage their organization or their people.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're describing is servant leadership. They want to serve their people. But a lot of times in these organizations, we can't even use the word serve because they think that's either culturally not the right thing for them to say, even though they want the same the outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting. We have a huge amount of opportunity when we start asking questions, about the company and the people. Do you want other people to care about the outcome of this, not only for the person, but also for the company? Yes. So you want to balance relationships and results? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's really fun to be able to use biblical truths and see them solve the problems that we as men can't solve. It's really cool.
So what word do you use if you can't say serve?
Oh my gosh. I've seen stuff like prepare.
Okay.
I've seen a variety of other words. And again, it's coming from a stigma or some kind of subservient kind of feel or whatever. It's just really interesting how some of the younger leaders don't quite understand the idea of serve.
Well, you used the word care a moment ago. I wondered if that is interchangeable with serve. You want to care for others as opposed to serve others.
Yep. And we actually have built some leader models around the acronym or the word care. So yeah, it's
So one of the things that you do through empathy and intimacy is you discover the culture of the company, it sounds like, not only for a diagnostic process of helping them move forward, but also how they talk about themselves and what's acceptable jargon and things like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And, making sure that the culture they want actually match the outcomes they're looking for. A lot of times they want let's just say a super high performing culture, and they want, they're tracking all the metrics and stuff like that. But then when people start leaving because the fact that your only thing you care about are numbers, and people think they're become one, then your culture is not matched with your outcomes. And so yeah, it's interesting. One key thing to architecting those cultures when we're meeting with the CEOs and leaders is people follow. We always know this. People follow people, and the reason people follow people is because they think they know that person. Not know them like I know their name, but
right. The intimacy and empathy you're speaking of.
Exactly. And the way you get to know them is through story. So when we think about organizations growing with leaders in mind, we have to have stories from those leaders that get expressed in all areas of these initiatives that make it believable and make them feel like they're part of this story and that they know this leader. And that creates trust, creates engagement, things like that. So the culture has to match that cultural hub, to be stories around it. And, that's just one aspect of some of the work we do. And some of that gets expressed into other consulting efforts or, in some cases, technology, like with some chicken companies that we work with. We need to be able to tell those stories to, hundreds of thousands of people every day.
Sure.
Well, to be able to do that, you need some technology sometimes. And, so in those cases, we solution those and build those and help them drive that. But with the reason for doing that coming back to impacting that person and impacting life. So that's something that we always are looking for. So
what just struck me as you were talking about that, and what I just thought about was there's really internal and external stories to be told. And so your employees, you want them to know the leader of the company, right? And common vision, even a founding story or something like that can rally and share the core values of the company. That story also needs to be told externally so that people walk in the door and purchase whatever product or service that you're selling. So do you ever see the internal and external stories misaligned or different in such a way that it creates this culture clash?
All the time.
Actually, all the time? Really?
That's the biggest metamorphosis that's happening right now in business. And, the brand promise, if it's setting in the center of your universe, on one side of that is orbiting your external customers and products and things like that.
Right.
Orbiting on the other side of that is all your internal customers, your employees, and all the different things that they're doing. So that brand promise, 40 years ago, you could sell something to the marketplace and never know anything about the company itself. It's hidden behind a cloak.
Yeah. Welcome to the world of flat information, right? Dispersed networks.
Yeah. I mean, it's but today everything is transparent.
Right. All is.
So we have to look at our employees as internal customers that we're serving. So what are we bringing to light for them to retain them as someone that we care for? And unfortunately, companies have been they've developed all kinds of marketing technology and machine learning and artificial intelligence on the marketing side to try to figure out how do we better serve a customer. But they haven't taken that focus internally to say, what can we bring to bear for our most important asset, which is our people. So we have been helping companies for the last 6-7 years or more not only get a brand promise that can be translated internally and externally, but we're also putting in all the messaging systems and processes to be able to sustain that internal audience, give them career opportunities, give them recognition, give them a culture where we celebrate their craft, we give them a good cause to rally behind, and we do that in a community. Those things really trigger a lot of interesting outcomes when you balance those.
Yeah, and you remind me when Jesus said to his disciples, when you have seen me, you've seen the Father. You know me, you've known the Father. So there was that consistency there between the Father and the Son. If there's a disconnect between the external stories and the internal stories, you see one thing and then you see another, and it's just like, I'm watching the commercial at home on TV and I'm wondering, what are they talking about? My experience working with that company is nothing like that. So that internal consistency, even within the Trinity, because, then Jesus goes on to say, I'm going to send one after I'm gone. I'm going to send one. And so that internal consistency is so important. What other challenges do you encounter in your work out there, Jeff? And how does your faith shape your response to those challenges?
There's a variety of challenges. I think that the biggest challenge we have is, most of the stuff that we get involved with is moments in time where change is happening. We sometimes are change agents, or we're catching it in the middle of change. But there's a lot of people that fall into three primary categories. There's ones that are excited about the opportunity for the change. Hopefully that's your leaders.
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully they're the early adopters, right?
Yeah, seeing this as an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
You have some people that are just in the pit of despair.
Mm.
The change is going on. They don't have enough information. So that void gets filled with the worst possible scenario.
Exactly. They go right to negativity, don't they?
Yes, pit of despair.
Mm.
And then you have others that are just brand assassins.
Brand assassins. Now, how do they act?
They only want to keep the status quo and protect a little fiefdom or whatever they built. They are not agents of change. They're agents of really of creating disunity. They want to keep a certain notoriety, power, or something. Usually there's a few of those in the organization.
Yeah, I've been in church with some of those folks, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's every organization, right? Not just company.
Yeah, exactly. So
status quo literally translates from the Latin, what a mess we're in, right? So what I heard you saying was the change is happening, and by the time they pick up the bat phone and call you, right?
Yeah.
The pain is coming from the change. It's just we may not know anything but the symptoms.
Yes, it's so when you come in and offer this opportunity to connect, it's challenging for us because in some companies we were referred to as the fifth executive.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but in a way that we shouldn't have been handled, because there's a little bit of we're not like John Maxwell coming in once a month to talk to a leader or whoever. We're not. We haven't written 500 books and are on. So there's a little bit of a difference,
right?
With him coming in, having a couple conversations with an executive team, as opposed to NovaLogic, where we're coming in and talking with organizations and spending a lot of time with the leaders. There's a little bit of fear that's happening about 2 levels down into the organization because they don't have a view into that.
Oh, so the conversations are somewhat isolated to begin with, and so they know you're there, but they don't know what it means that you're there.
Yeah, and then once some of those changes start happening, there's some we can run into challenges, and so the whole change management process for us, if it's not carried out well from top down, then some of the challenges we have are those individuals that just don't want to see change happening, especially if it's driven by someone else.
Brand assassins, right?
Yes.
They go get it out.
Down.
Well, they probably want to assassinate the fifth executive, right? Who came in and started all this mess. So how did your faith help you in the midst of having a target on your back within companies like that?
Well, first of all, it's realizing it's not about me. And also, some of these people could be seen, as, let's just say, enemies of the initiative or enemies of even us. So faith has definitely oriented me over the years. There's certain things my flesh wants to do.
Tug of war, Paul called it, right?
Yes, my flesh has a certain tendency to want to handle those situations a certain way. But through a lot of prayer, because we are doing stuff that's pretty impactful, we pray a lot about it. But understanding that those individuals that may be the brand assassins, we have to reach out to them as well. I mean, so how do we offer the olive branch, you might say, or the the opportunity to be a part of this? It might not be what they think it is as far as being a part of it, but it's definitely pushed me to talk to and to build relationship with people that I wouldn't normally want to build relationships with.
Oh, so Christ calls you outside of your comfort zone of people like you in order to go love up on people who are not like you.
That's right.
Oh man, you didn't read the fine print when you became a Christian that was your marching order, did you?
Early in my career when I was at IBM for years, I mean, if somebody, you know, and I, of course, coming from a background of a lot of sports, if somebody stepped in the ring with me, it was showtime.
It was game on. Bring it, baby.
So, but over the years, some of my best, absolute, just favorite moments were those times I bridged a relationship with somebody I thought I would never, ever really, you know, connect with. But, you know, if we just show mercy and grace at some level that we can't by ourselves do.
Right.
It's funny what happens on the other side of that. It really,
it's a huge game changer, isn't it? Well,
yeah.
You know, just constantly reminding yourself daily, or just trying to be aware of how much grace and mercy I need each day.
Oh yeah.
That levels the playing field for me. And I go, wow, I need that much. And that's how much I know I need. What about all that grace and mercy I'm receiving that I'm not even aware of?
Oh yeah.
And then there is that thing Christ said about, you heard it said, you know, hate your enemies. I say to you, love them and pray for them.
Yeah.
Not much way of misunderstanding that. So the cool thing that I like about what you're saying, Jeff, is with these brand assassins, it gives you an opportunity to be Christ to people that may not have really had anybody be Christ to them before, because if they're brand assassins at work, they're probably brand assassins at home and other places, right? And they've set up adversarial relationships. So who's going to go to them? Who's going to be the Christian who gets outside of his or her comfort zone? Right? Because most Christians hang together, right? We kind of huddle up in the corner.
Holy huddles.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You know, we want to admire Jesus from afar, but who's really going to follow him and dig in there with the brand assassins and just love them through all the junk that they've layered over themselves? So that's really your calling as Executive Vice President of Logic, going in and helping these companies, is go find those brand assassins and love up on them, huh?
Well, we're trying for sure.
Man, that's a great calling. That is a beautiful calling. So what Bible verse do you turn to that's kind of a go-to verse, a favorite for you, that helps you stay focused on ministering to these brand assassins?
Oh, well, you know, I've had that asked 4 or 5 times of me before, you know, and there's so many good ones. Oh my gosh. You could just,
there are a lot of verses in the Bible, right?
I've heard.
Yeah.
No, but probably one passage that I've always really just enjoyed is, of course, Proverbs. Proverbs has a lot of things.
Yep.
But, Proverbs 3:1-6. There's some really good stuff in there. You know, you don't want to forsake love, mercy, you know, but make sure you put that on the breastplate of your heart. You know, that's just some really, you know, it also, and I'm trying to remember all the stuff in those verses, but it's always acknowledge him and he shall direct your paths.
Yes.
Right.
Leaning not into your own understanding.
Exactly. And it's
a big one.
It's and I don't understand everything. That's another thing a guy like me really have a problem with, is that sometimes I just don't get it. I'm like, why is this happening? And sometimes I just have to go, you know, I'm going to trust God that, you know, on this. And
because it doesn't make any sense by our understanding, right? It's like, well, why did this happen? This is this is ridiculous that this has to happen. Why can't we just get over it? But the fact is it did. So how is God going to be in it to help redeem it?
Yes, exactly. And, it's interesting. If we keep those, in Proverbs, it talks about keep my commandments.
Mm-hmm.
But, the thing he points out first is mercy or love, however you want to translate that, right?
Right.
That you want to love and be truthful.
Mm.
And, we've already talked a little bit about that, but
Mm-hmm.
if you do that, you'll be honored among men. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
somebody who tells the truth and loves others. That sounds like a great way to do business today, right?
Yeah. And at times when I'm having to trust and just really am lost,
yes,
the first 4 words of the Bible always give me a lot of hope. In the beginning, God. When you get that, he's in control.
Yeah, it wasn't in the beginning Joey or in the beginning Jeff, right? It was in the beginning God. So he's got this.
He's got this.
Man, this is incredible. Somebody in Faith Positive Nation is going to want to continue the conversation with you, Jeff. How's the best way to reach out to you?
Email is probably the best.
Okay.
You can reach me at Jeff, Jeff, at novologic.com. That's NOVOLOGIC.com.
Jeff at novologic.com. Okay, if you're walking the dog around a treadmill or driving down the road right now, it's in the episode copy there on Jeff's page on getpositive.today. Jeff Gray is EVP, Executive Vice President with NovaLogic in the Atlanta area. Man, I just want to thank you for all your wisdom. You have enriched Faith Positive Nation so much today with your wisdom, and we just are so thankful and pray God's blessings on you and Jackie and the rest of the Gray family. We just thank you for your time and wisdom today, Jeff.
My pleasure.
Thanks for listening to Faith Positive Radio, the Christian business coaching conversation that increases your faith with greater joy at work so you love God and others more. Suggest guests and ask questions when you email Dr. Joey at info@getpositive.today. And be sure to get your free gift of the 5 positive business conversations to have today coaching program at getpositive.today. Until next time, may God bless you with everything your heart can hope for and more than your mind can imagine.